Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Iyun Shulchan Orach. Today is Siman Lam and Tet Hilchos Tefillin. We're learning today about who's eligible to write here at Tefillin. So Halacha Aleph is what we're going to deal with today. Tefillin is Rakas on Eved o Isha o Katan Afili Gil Chinuch o Kusi o Mumar Lavat Galulim o Mosar Anasim Psulim Mishum Dechsiv Ukshartim Uksaftam Kushen B'Kshira Eno Mamin Ba Eno B'Chsiva. All of the following people: a woman, a katan, shalagil, chinuch, an eved, right? Eved knaini. These people are not mitzuva in shira, right? A woman is mitzvah say she has man grama, so therefore eved isha pater. A katan shalagil chinuch is only chayiv midrabanan and not chayiv midraisa. And now will come interesting other people. A kusi, mumar levas kachav, moshal anasim. All these people are technically mitzuva in the mitzvah of tefillin. Just because you renounce your faith, or it's questionable whether you had a good gerus or not, or you revoked your gerus, you're still mitzvah in the mitzvahs. You can't retract your Judaism. You're mosal anasim. You hand over people to the police. It doesn't make a difference. You're still mitzvah in the mitzvah of tefillin. So why is your ksiva considered pasul? This is a Gemara. This is a Gemara in Gittin on Daf Mem Hey. The Gemara really is talking about an isha or an eved. It doesn't really talk about kusi. This is what the Shulchan Aruch means to add. He doesn't believe in tefillin, right? Now, he's doing avodah zara, so he's not doing the mitzvah of tefillin anymore. He doesn't believe in the mitzvah of tefillin. He's still mitzvah. He's obligated to do the mitzvah, right? But he doesn't believe in it. So you see in the Shulchan Aruch that he's adding in a sort of a svara over here. I mean, you can declare, right? People in yeshiva like that word. You could outline the following investigation over here. Ukshartem uchsaptem, right? It's juxtaposition of the pasuk says in the parsha of Kriya Shema. Ukshartem l'sayidecha v'yul t'avos b'nenecha uchsaptam amazos b'secha v'isharecha. So the two psukim next to each other, the Gemara is a drasha. Ukshartem uchsaptem. Mishi yesham b'kshira yesham b'chsiva. Mishi eno b'kshira eno b'chsiva. Someone who's not part of kshira, part of tying tefillin on your hand. Women, avodim, they're not mitzvah, and mitzvah shaz man groma. They can't write tefillin either. So is the pshat that it has to be that way? Anyone who's mitzvah in the kshira, right? He's mitzvah in the ksiva, and if you're not mitzvah in the kshira, you're not mitzvah in the ksiva, and if you're not commanded to write it, so then the Torah Hashem doesn't want you to write it. Hashem doesn't command you to write it. He doesn't want you to write it, so it's not good. Or is it just that it's a svara that someone who's not mitzvah or careful in the mitzvah of kshira doesn't have to do it? So it's a giloy. The Torah is saying we're worried that they didn't write it with the proper intention, or they made mistakes in the writing. They didn't write the proper tzuras ha'os, or they weren't medaktin chaseros and yaseros. There's a chashash that they wrote pasul tefillin. They didn't write lishma. They wrote pasul tefillin. It's a svara. It's a logical thing that the Gemara is saying. It's not just if you're not mitzvah in ksiva, so then it's pasul because you're not mitzvah in ksiva. First of all, it doesn't make so much sense because even if you're not mitzvah in ksiva, so what is it? I have to be obligated to write the tefillin. Is there a mitzvah to write tefillin? I don't know if there's a mitzvah to write tefillin. The mitzvah uchsaptem mezuzah b'yitzecha. Maybe the mitzvah to write the parsha of mezuzah or put mezuzah on your. That's talking about mezuzah uchsaptem. Is there a mitzvah to write tefillin? I don't know. And even if you're not mitzvah to write tefillin, who says you can't write it? Just because I'm mitzvah doesn't mean it's pasul if I write it. And he's including these other cases. Mumar lavos kechavim. Right, he's still mitzvah. So if it's logical, whoever's mitzvah and kshira is mitzvah and ksiva. You're not mitzvah and kshira, you're not mitzvah and ksiva. But more levels kachavim, akusti, these people are mitzvah. Especially if you hold kusim geri emes, they were real gerim, so they are mitzvah. So you have to say obviously like the second way that it's a chashash. That kshartem uchsaftem is a gila. The Torah is revealing to you that we're worried that they didn't write it. If you're not someone who's involved in doing the mitzvah of putting on tefillin, right? So you're not knowledgeable about tefillin. You're not knowledgeable about tefillin. When you write the tefillin, you're going to write it with psul. You're going to write it with mistakes. You're going to write it without doing a lishma. What you're supposed to do a lishma. That's the problem over here. If that's the problem, so maybe there could be a kula over here. Maybe if you have someone who's omen al gabav, right? Someone who's standing in back of the person, and let's say a woman's writing it, and he's mitzaveh her, you write it lishma, and she says, okay, I'm doing it lishma, and then he's watching, he's making sure she's not making any mistakes in the ksiva, or you could check it after and make sure there's no mistakes. Technically, it would be okay because the logic is she's not going to be careful about it. So minastam, if we don't know otherwise, we don't have any better knowledge of the situation, we assume it's possible. But if we have proof that it's kosher, it's kosher. But that's not what the Mishnah Berurah says. The Mishnah Berurah says, lo mahani afilu gadol min al gabo re'eo sh'yu lishman. He's quoting from Shari Tshuva or Pashat. Shari Tshuva says it's Pashat. I don't think it's so Pashat. To me, it would seem that it would be okay in this case. There is a halacha that we learn in Siman Lamed Beis that if you're Omed al Gabav, according to some opinions, you can have an Oved Kochavim. An Oved Kochavim could actually write the. I'm not sure if it's ma'abidim or it's to write it. What does it say over here? Where is this? Okay, I'm not really sure where this is over here. I know we're talking about ibud. When in terms of tanning it, you can be omen al gabav, according to one opinion. I'm not sure if an oved kochavim, a non-Jew, could actually, a non-Jew who's not necessarily doing avodah zarah, if he could write it or not. But it would seem to me all these people, if he's omen al gabav and making sure they're doing it lishma and they're writing it properly, there shouldn't be a problem because there's a svara over here. It's logical because that's what the Shulchan Aruch is including. Eino mamin ba. What is eino mamin ba? You're still mitzvah, you're still obligated. It must be because if he's not mamin, but he doesn't believe in the mitzvahs, he's not going to observe the mitzvah of tefillin properly. And we can assume if he's not doing the mitzvah of tefillin, wearing it properly, he's not going to write it properly for sure. That takes much more mumchus, takes much more professionalism to do that. That would be my understanding over here. Again, Mr. Berurah doesn't say like me, so you have to ask your rabbi if you want to be maker like me. See you in Mishnah Yomi. I'm going to do right now. Bye.